is Bloomberg Markets. I'm Julie Hyman.
And I'm Scarlett Fu. Now to a Bloomberg exclusive. The yield curve under close watch, of course, as it continues to flatten, which can be an indicator of recession. We spoke with the former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew in Hong Kong about the risk of an economic downturn.
Historically, the yield curve has been a very stable predictor. It has accurately predicted almost every downturn, and I don't believe, had more than one false positive in terms of predicting a recession when there wasn't one. So if you saw an inverted yield curve, I think you'd see people getting quite nervous now. We're at a moment when, because of changing policies, there's going to be stress on spreads, and it may not be a normal time in terms of the yield curve being the leading indicator, but I do think it warrants careful attention. It doesn't show a lot of confidence in the long term when you don't see long-term rates starting to creep up, when short-term rates are being forced up by changes in monetary policy. I think that there's a lot of reasons to be nervous about the economy. You know, obviously we're in the 9th year of a recovery, and we're probably going to break a record to have the longest
It's actually one of the longest.
Yeah. Look, I'm proud the first 7 years of it were on our watch. So we did a lot to drive this recovery. And I hope it goes on. I don't see any reason that it has to be stopped in its tracks. I look at the policies that are being put in place, and they're not friendly to continuing a long-term growth period.
Such as what?
So I think the trade policies they're causing uncertainty that's going to be reflected in investment decisions, and it's going to put a drag on the economy in terms of higher prices and less open markets. I think the tax policies, which, while they were cheered by the business community, is a little bit like pouring kerosene on a fire. There's a flare, you know, when you pour the kerosene, and then it burns off. The after effect of the tax cut will be trillions of dollars of debt. Trillions of dollars of debt. And I think that's going to be a burden on the economy as we're getting to the end of the economic cycle. I worry, if we had an economic downturn, that we don't have the fiscal arsenal that we should have to respond. You would want the federal government to be able to jump in and put, like we did in 2008, 9, and 10, put a lot of fiscal measures into the economy to get it going. When we're adding literally $2 trillion to the debt over the next 10 years, it's going to put a lot of stress. So I think it's going to be a problem driving interest rates up. It's going to have a drag effect on the economy. And then in the downturn, it's going to be harder to respond.
We also spoke with Lew about China's currency potentially being used as a tool in the trade war.
I think it's good for China to have the RMB start to reflect the strength of China's economy. It gives more purchasing power to Chinese consumers. It helps grow the domestic consumer sector of the economy, which is so important to maintaining stable growth. But it also makes it more competitive when you're comparing a Chinese product to a product that's produced in the United States or Western Europe. So I think it reduces tension. I'm not going to say there aren't problems. I think there are serious challenges that have to be engaged, where the United States has to engage China. Unfortunately, when I look at the engagement today, just today, you know, the visit in Europe of Premier Li Keqiang with Chancellor Merkel, it looks like the rest of the world getting together to say we still believe in the rules of norms that the United States designed, and the United States appears to be the outlier. That's not good. That's what worries me. I'm not worried when the United States challenges China on legitimate grounds. I was as aggressive challenging China as any of my predecessors were. What I think is wrong is that the United States loses its very special role as the leader of speaking for international norms.
That was our exclusive interview with former U.S. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew.